Welcome back to English Podcast for Life, your go-to show for boosting your English skills and exploring fascinating topics. I'm Alex.
And I'm Beth. It's fantastic to have you joining us today. Alex, have you ever had one of those days where you just wish you could absorb new information without any effort?
Oh, absolutely, Beth. Especially after a long day, when my brain feels completely full. I dream of just plugging in and downloading new vocabulary directly into my mind overnight.
Well, that brings us to today's topic, which has been a source of much fascination and sometimes a little confusion. Learning English while you sleep. We're going to dive deep into this idea. Is it pure science fiction? Or is there genuine potential here for us as English learners?
That's right. For the next 2 hours, we'll be exploring the science, debunking the myths, and giving you practical, actionable advice on how to potentially leverage your sleep for better English memory. And importantly, what to avoid.
We'll also address some common questions people have about this topic. So settle in, maybe grab a cup of tea. But don't fall asleep just yet. We've got a lot to cover.
Beth, let's start by exploring why the idea of sleep learning is so incredibly appealing. What's the magic behind it?
It's easy to see, isn't it, Alex? We spend, on average, about 1/3 of our lives sleeping. Imagine if even a fraction of that time could be actively used for productive learning. It feels like the ultimate shortcut. No struggle, no active memorization, just effortless absorption.
It promises a way to bypass the hard work, the flashcards, the grammar exercises, the sometimes tedious repetition. I mean, who wouldn't want to wake up speaking English more fluently without lifting a finger?
Exactly. The concept has been around for decades, popularized in old science fiction movies and even some early self-help movements. These often painted a picture of playing an audio tape under your pillow and waking up with a new skill.
So, it's almost like a dream come true for language learners, pun intended.
Precisely, but this is where we need to be clear. While the idea is attractive, we must differentiate between active learning, what you do when you're awake and focused, and what actually happens during sleep. There's a big difference between passive exposure and genuine learning of new, complex information. Many promises you see online are simply too good to be true.
So, the first myth we can debunk is that you can put on an audio track of a completely new English lesson and wake up understanding it perfectly.
Absolutely. Your brain is not a simple recording device. It doesn't just passively download information while you're unconscious. If it did, imagine how easy everything would be. We'd all be polyglots, concert pianists, and quantum physicists just by listening to recordings overnight.
A nice thought, but probably not realistic. So, let's move on to what science does say.
So, Alex, if we can't learn completely new things from scratch while sleeping, what can our brains do during those precious hours of rest?
This is where the science gets really interesting. The key concept here is memory consolidation. Think of it this way: when you're awake, you're constantly taking in new information. Your short-term memory is like a desk full of notes.
And then, what happens when you go to sleep?
When you sleep, especially during deep sleep and REM sleep, that's rapid eye movement sleep, where most dreaming occurs, your brain isn't idle. It's incredibly busy. It's like a highly efficient librarian taking those notes from your desk and organizing them, filing them away into your long-term memory. It processes, strengthens, and integrates the memories that were formed during your waking hours.
So, if I spent an hour before bed actively studying a new list of 20 English vocabulary words, my brain might actually work on making those words stick while I sleep.
Exactly. Studies have indeed shown that exposing yourself to information right before sleep, or even during specific sleep stages at a very low, almost subliminal volume, can help solidify those memories. For example, some research suggests that if you learn new words and then listen to those same words, perhaps paired with their definitions or native language equivalents, your recall of those words can improve.
That's fascinating. So it's not about introducing completely new, never-before-heard information, but rather reinforcing and strengthening what you've already been exposed to and actively tried to learn.
Precisely. The brain is reviewing and rehearsing. It's like building pathways. When you learn something new, you create a weak pathway. During sleep, your brain reinforces that pathway, making it stronger and easier to access later. This is why good quality sleep is absolutely crucial for all types of learning, not just language.
So if someone is struggling with remembering vocabulary, it might not just be their study method, but perhaps their sleep habits too?
Very possibly. A well-rested brain is a learning-ready brain. Poor sleep can actually hinder memory consolidation, making it harder to remember what you learned the day before.
This really changes the perspective, doesn't it? It's not about magic, but about understanding our brain's natural processes.
So, now that we understand the science behind memory consolidation during sleep, let's move on to the practical side. How can English learners actually try to leverage this knowledge? What can they do to potentially aid their English learning while they sleep?
Great question, Alex. The emphasis here is on potentially aid because, as we discussed, it's a supplementary tool, not a replacement for active study. Here are some actionable tips. Dedicated review before bed. This is probably the most effective strategy. Spend a focused 15 to 30 minutes before you go to sleep actively reviewing vocabulary, common phrases, grammar rules, or dialogue from a lesson you've recently studied. Flashcards, an app, or simply reading your notes aloud. This ensures the information is fresh in your short-term memory, giving your brain something specific to work on during sleep. While you're sleeping, you could try playing audio that contains the exact material you just reviewed. This should be at an extremely low, almost imperceptible volume. The goal is not to wake you up or introduce new information, but to provide a subtle nudge to your brain, reinforcing the pathways it's already trying to consolidate. If you reviewed a dialogue from a podcast earlier, you could play that specific dialogue on a loop at a very, very low volume. Opt for audio that is clear, slow, and calming. Avoid anything too stimulating, too fast, or too complex. Think of it as background white noise that happens to contain English. Good options include curated vocabulary lists with clear pronunciations, short, simple English stories or dialogues you've already understood, repetitive grammar drills you've already practiced. Avoid fast-paced news broadcasts, complex lectures, or exciting audio dramas. These can disrupt your sleep or introduce too much new, unstructured information. Prioritize sleep quality above all else. If your attempts at sleep learning disrupt your sleep cycles, cause you to wake up, or make you feel less rested, then it's entirely counterproductive. A good night's sleep is far more beneficial for overall memory, learning, and cognitive function than any attempt at passive listening if it comes at the cost of rest. Practical application. Set a timer for your audio to play for only the first hour or two of your sleep. Your deepest sleep phases, where consolidation is most active, often occur earlier in the night. Or, if you use headphones, make sure they are comfortable and don't disturb you. Consider a speaker placed subtly in the room.
That's excellent advice, Beth. It really emphasizes the idea of gentle reinforcement rather than forceful instruction. What are some of the things people should definitely avoid?
Great point, Alex. Don't expect miracles or instant fluency. As we've stressed, this is a supplementary tool, not a magic bullet. It will not make you fluent overnight if you haven't been actively studying during the day. Avoid playing new, unfamiliar content. Your brain isn't designed to learn complex new grammatical structures or completely unknown vocabulary words from scratch while you're unconscious. Stick to material you've already encountered. Don't play audio too loudly. Loud noise will disrupt your sleep, and disrupted sleep means poor memory consolidation. This defeats the entire purpose. The volume should be so low you can barely hear it if you were awake. Be wary of overuse of headphones. Wearing headphones all night can be uncomfortable, potentially unhealthy for your ears if the volume is too high. Even if low, prolonged use can irritate and can disrupt your sleep if they fall out or press against your head. A small, quiet speaker is often a better option. Don't substitute active study. This is the most important takeaway. Sleep learning should never replace your active, conscious efforts. It's a supportive role, not a leading one.
Let's move on to some questions we often hear about this topic, as if our listeners are writing in. Beth, here's one. If I listen to English all night, will it somehow make me dream in English?
That's a fun question. While there's no direct scientific evidence that listening to English while sleeping will make you start dreaming in English, actively immersing yourself in English during your waking hours, listening, speaking, reading, thinking in English, can absolutely lead to dreaming in English over time. It's a sign of deeper integration of the language into your subconscious mind. But it's a result of your active efforts, not just passive nighttime listening.
Okay, next question. Should I buy those special sleep learning apps that promise fluency in 30 days?
This goes back to our earlier point about managing expectations. Be very skeptical of any app or product that promises fluency overnight or effortless learning while you sleep. They often exaggerate the science. While some might incorporate the idea of playing familiar vocabulary, their core promise of rapid, passive fluency is usually a marketing gimmick. Focus on apps that support active learning and provide good quality, structured content for waking study.
Another one. Will listening to English while I sleep make me too tired during the day?
If done incorrectly, yes. If the volume is too high, or the content is too stimulating, or it just simply makes you uncomfortable, it can absolutely disrupt your sleep quality. And as we've said, compromised sleep leads to fatigue, reduced concentration, and actually hinders your ability to learn and remember during the day. So if you feel tired, stop immediately and reevaluate your method, or perhaps discard it entirely. Your health and rest are paramount.
What kind of English audio is best for sleep listening?
As we mentioned earlier, prioritize content that is calm, clear, and familiar. Think of a consistent, gentle voice, like a guided meditation, but with English vocabulary. Simple, repetitive phrases or words you've just reviewed are ideal. Avoid anything with sudden changes in volume, dramatic tones, or complex narratives. The goal is subtle reinforcement, not active engagement. Think of it more as a lullaby for your memory.
And finally, if I only do sleep learning, will I become fluent?
No, absolutely not. Sleep learning, in the way it's supported by science, is a supplement to active study. It helps consolidate existing memories. It cannot teach you new grammar rules, conversational skills, or pronunciation patterns from scratch. To become fluent, you need to actively listen, speak, read, write, make mistakes, get feedback, and practice consistently in your waking hours. There's no true shortcut to fluency. It requires dedicated effort. So, Alex, for our listeners who are keen to try integrating this scientifically supported approach into their routine, let's talk about building a sustainable sleep learning routine.
Excellent idea. It's not just about one night. It's about consistency. Identify your target material. What specific English do you want to reinforce? Is it a set of idioms, common conversational phrases, irregular verbs, or vocabulary related to a specific topic? Be precise. Example, let's say you're focusing on business English vocabulary. Before bed, review words like return on investment, synergy, deadline, quarterly report, budget allocation. Say them aloud. Use them in sentences. Create or find your audio. If you can, record yourself reading your target material slowly and clearly. This can be very effective as your brain connects with your own voice. Alternatively, find clear, pre-recorded audio that matches your review material. Example, for those business words, you might record ROI, return on investment, synergy, deadline, quarterly report, budget allocation. Pause after each. Set your timer. Decide how long you want the audio to play. For many, 30 to 60 minutes at the beginning of the night is sufficient, as this covers the early deep sleep cycles crucial for consolidation. Consistency is key. Just like active study, consistency matters. Try to do this review and low-volume listening most nights. Your brain thrives on routine. Listen to your body. Pay attention to how you feel. If you wake up tired, if you're not sleeping well, or if you feel stressed by the idea of doing this, then stop. It's not for everyone, and good sleep is always the priority.
And remember, the active part of your learning is what really drives progress. This sleep-based reinforcement is just a helpful little boost.
Think of it like this. Your active study is the main engine of your English learning journey. Sleep learning is like a special, high-octane fuel additive. It can help the engine run a bit smoother and more efficiently. But it can't make the car go if the engine isn't working in the first place.
That's a perfect analogy, Alex. It highlights that the heavy lifting is still done during your waking hours.
We're nearing the end of our deep dive into learning English while you sleep. Beth, what are your ultimate takeaways for our listeners?
My main message is this: don't underestimate the power of sleep for learning. Not for new information, but for cementing what you've already learned. Prioritize good quality sleep, and if you choose to experiment with sleep learning, do so wisely, with familiar material and at a volume that won't disrupt your rest.
And mine is, embrace active learning. There are no real shortcuts to fluency. The journey of learning English is incredibly rewarding when you engage with it fully. Listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Use sleep as a supportive ally, not a primary teacher.
Well said, Alex. And remember, the progress you make with your English is a direct result of your dedication and consistent effort.
So, whether you try some of these sleep reinforcement techniques or not, know that every moment you spend actively engaging with English is building those neural pathways, making you more confident and fluent.
That's our show for today, everyone. We hope this extensive look at dreaming in English has been both informative and inspiring.
thank you so much for joining us for this special extended episode of English Podcast for Life. Keep practicing, keep learning, and keep dreaming in English.
You can find us on all major podcast platforms. And please leave us a review if you enjoyed the show. We love hearing from you. Until next time, happy learning.
Bye for now.
See you.